After watching this, you're going to know more about type 2 diabetes and prediabetes than the average person. You're also going to learn about how to lower your A1c and your glucose levels naturally. So if you or anyone you know is struggling with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, you're going to want to stay on and listen to this because this could be life-saving. Now, our current treatments look at the symptom. Like I've talked in my lives, I've talked on this channel, we go after symptom control. We go after the high blood glucose. When we go after the high blood glucose, our current treatments only take the glucose out of the bloodstream and start stuffing it into overstuffed cells. We tell you that it's chronic, it's progressive, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Well, if we only look at it as a disease that is a high blood sugar, yes it is. But if we look at it on a whole as your body having too much glucose, wouldn't the logical thing be get rid of the flipping glucose out of the body? But that's not what we do. We simply go after the symptom, like everything, because, well, that's more profitable. So, I'm going to talk about what diabetes really is. It's simple. Most of us have enough common sense to, when you start to listen to this, you're like, that makes way more sense than what they're telling me. Well, it is your body has too much glucose in it. You need to burn it off. You need to limit the amount coming in and burn off the rest. So I'm going to show you an example that Dr. Jason Fung said in his book, The Diabetes Code. He says we start out our life with an empty sugar bowl, and over time we start filling it. And sometimes we might be able to get rid of it, and then other times we keep adding to it. Frequent meals and inactivity will start to fill that sugar bowl faster. That's why we're seeing 4-year-olds being diagnosed with insulin resistance, because they're filling their sugar bowl too fast. So I'm going to show you this example here. We're going to say this is a little one. We're going to fill that bowl, and then I'm going to show you how what happens when it overflows, it ends up in the bloodstream. That's why they're being diagnosed with insulin resistance at 4 years old. But like a generation ago, we didn't have that happen. Now, some of us, it took us 30 years. So over time, we filled that, and then it ends up in the bloodstream. Then we're going to look at how you get rid of it. All right, so right here, think of this as a little one, a toddler, an infant. We start out our life just like that, with an empty sugar bowl. But over time, we fill it up. And sometimes we might empty it in here. But due to recommendations of drinking juice, putting it in sippy cups, we're overfilling this little body too fast. And then at 4 years old, we're getting people and little ones diagnosed with insulin resistance. So our little body starts to overflow. And then sometimes we might go ahead and get rid of some, We start to move, they might not feel good, they get rid of it. But we're telling them to eat small, frequent meals, right? Now, if they're drinking a lot of glucose and sugar and eating tons of fruit, but not spacing out meals and not getting enough fiber, they start to go ahead and overflow this little sugar cup. Their little bodies end up overflowing, right? They overflow, and then they overflow, and then before you know it, it goes into the bloodstream, and it starts to overflow in there, and they get diagnosed with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. We don't tell them to stop drinking the glucose drinks. We don't tell them, we need to limit the amount coming in, space out the meals, and get rid of some of it like this. Instead, we tell them we need to start shoving it back into here, right? So, now, if the little one doesn't end up being diagnosed as a child, but slowly, over time they become an adult, let's pour this out and think of this as the adult body now. So over time, 20, 30 years down the road, we start to do this. Now, maybe we get sick or we don't eat as many frequent meals. We start burning it off, right? We start burning it off. But then before you know it, we haven't burned it off. We end up just going ahead and dumping all this sugar in here. I'll show you really quick how that works. So over time, so now this is the adult body, right? The adult body is now getting overfilled too. So this is how you become diagnosed, because now it's filling into the bloodstream, right? It's starting to fill into the bloodstream. You're ending up there. You've got a high A1c. So instead of trying to take this glucose out of the bloodstream, right? Instead of putting it right in there, we start cramming it back into the bloodstream. So I'm going to take it out and show you what that looks like. Instead of going ahead and starting to go like this with our treatments, we go like this, and we start stuffing it back in here. Now, when we stuff it back in here, think of that as rotting. That happens because it starts turning black, because those cells start to rot because it's sitting on there rotting like a hoarder's house. Now again, this is a disease of too much glucose. So the common sense thing to do would be to get rid of the glucose out of the body, right? So I'm going to show you how you do that naturally and without extreme diets or extreme exercising. It happens with two food-based tools that target insulin resistance, the root cause. So what we need to do is space out our mealtime. The best thing to do is to lower the amount and frequency of your eating. To not eat breakfast, fast till lunch, space out lunch till dinner 4 to 6 hours. But how do we do this without getting hungry? Well, this here has been designed from an herbamate extract, and it helps you so that you can fast and start burning off that glucose. So now you can start taking this right here, right? Take it here and start dumping it over time. Now this one here is going to simply stop the amount of glucose going into the body. So it's going to, I'll show you here, it's going to limit the amount. So instead of going all the way here into the body, it's going to be like a sponge, and it's only going to be a little bit going in. So this is going to capture it, and it's going to go out of the body because it acts like a sponge. These two products are found in the provider's digital reference. That is where your providers go and look up medications and their interactions, but they can also find natural-based solutions. So if you would like to learn more information about these two products, I'm going to show you where you can go to learn about it. So you can go right here into my pinned videos, and I talk about how I have been able to lower my insulin resistance as well as other symptoms like polycystic ovarian syndrome, lose weight, lower my cholesterol and my triglycerides naturally, and then how to get them as well.